Senator, your reaction to the TikTok ruling?
Disappointment. I do believe that banning a social media app like TikTok is a violation of the First Amendment.
The best way for TikTok to continue to exist is for it to be sold, which the law explicitly allows for. While you ban it is controlled by Beijing. So if it were sold or firewalled, that would be fine.
The TikTok ban is fully and fairly constitutional. TikTok should not be banned. It should be sold. China should not own it, but it should continue to exist in this country.
So there you have some senators responding to the decision made public by the Supreme Court earlier today that they would be upholding the law that would ban TikTok in the United States on Sunday if the company that controls it doesn't divest, sell it to an American company, that sort of thing. And obviously a number of those senators were not happy with it. Bear in mind, this is coming about as the result of a law that was actually passed, but they don't agree with some of the decision making of the Supreme Court. I also don't agree with it. I don't think that the proper way to kill a social media site is to ban it in this way. I think the proper way to kill a social media site is to have Elon Musk buy it and then gradually ruin it. I think that's the proper way, and we should continue that grand tradition. But anyway, the court was pretty clear. It was a unanimous decision. It seemed like they would go in this direction, but we were curious to see if there would be any dissenting opinions. So they put out a 20-page decision. They said that the ban or sale law does not violate the free speech rights of millions of TikTok users in the US. That law was passed in April with bipartisan support, signed by President Joe Biden. And the argument was that they needed to do this because of concerns about China, the Chinese government's potential use of the algorithm to manipulate American users, or that they would get access to the private information of American users. And specifically in their opinion, the court said there is no doubt that for more than 170 million Americans, TikTok offers a distinctive and expansive outlet for expression, means of engagement, and source of community. But Congress has determined that divestiture is necessary to address its well-supported national security concerns regarding TikTok's data collection practices and relationship with a foreign adversary. And so that's what they decided, and it was unanimous. I know a lot of people probably had concerns about, for a topic like this, which is so focused on an app, the obviously much older Supreme Court, how much are they gonna know? And I know some people probably had even more concerns about their ability to understand technology when earlier this week, Samuel Alito asked if people go to Pornhub for the essays. And so, there's concern about the older justices, but as it stands right now, it is on track to be shut down within about 48 hours, although there are a lot of avenues to potentially stop that or reverse it were it to happen. And here is a statement from Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre about Biden and his administration's influence in this. She said, President Biden's position on TikTok has been clear for months, including since Congress sent a bill in overwhelming bipartisan fashion to the president's desk. TikTok should remain available to Americans, but simply under American ownership or other ownership that addresses the national security concerns identified by Congress in developing this law. However, given the timing, the implementation is now going to be effectively carried out by the next administration when Donald Trump is sworn in on Monday. Now, interestingly, over the past couple of days, there's been some sources from inside of the Biden administration implying that they might do something to get it to stick around, which struck a lot of people as odd, considering that Biden had been an advocate for the banning of TikTok. Although we should bear in mind that Donald Trump is also implying that he might do something, and we'll be discussing that when he had been one of the chief advocates for banning it, even before legislation was really being considered. And so we'll turn to Trump in a little bit, but Yaz, I want to start with you. I don't know if maybe you were surprised by the Supreme Court ruling in this way. Maybe you can give us a feel for how likely you think it is that on Sunday the app could potentially go dark.
Well, what they're saying as far as the app going dark on Sunday, they're saying that most likely if you don't have it downloaded to your phone already, you're not going to be able to. If you do have it downloaded to your phone already, it's just going to devolve to the point that it's unusable. It's just gonna get, the service is just gonna get worse and worse, the video quality, that kind of thing. So eventually it will become defunct. But TikTokers are already hopping over to another Chinese owned app. So we might have a repeat of this whole saga in another year or two. John, the Zoomers are learning Mandarin. That's how serious this is. But yeah, like there's a few different angles to this, right? There's the freedom of speech, that's a concern. There's the fact that in today's modern world, so many people earn their livings off of these social media apps. And then of course, there's the national security concerns. So the US just wants to control all of the data that China apparently has access to with this app. But as much as I don't like social media or TikTok, I don't think banning it is much of a solution to anything. And to be fair, they are trying to find the American buyer. That said, I'm not super thrilled about any of these interested buyers. Kevin O'Leary is interested in buying the app, and apparently he has access to $20 billion in cash, which is problematic in and of itself. Mr. Beast, I don't trust that guy. And of course, Elon Musk is interested in purchasing the app. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not surprised by the Supreme Court decision because everything seemed to be trending in that direction. We did see a lot of bipartisan support for finding an American buyer for the app. And they're always citing this national security issue. The thing is though, as consumers, we still have to be wary of where our data is going, because if it's not going to China, it's going to the US government. It's better, but it's still something to be wary of, right? But the reality is, in today's modern era, information is king, and they all want it.
David, did you buy the government's argument in this, and where do you see this going?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, I'm going to defend Mr. Beast. I actually love his videos and his philanthropic work. So let's put Mr. Beast out of this. But I was actually not surprised that the US Supreme Court did what they did. I thought that the argument from TikTok on free speech grounds was kind of flimsy to begin with. And putting that aside, I mean, this was a bipartisan huge decision in which there was no disagreement when Congress passed this early in the spring. And so I think the Supreme Court was wise to say, look, you passed the law. President Biden signed it. You guys have to sort of live with the outcome here. And so now the question is, okay, is there some mechanism where Joe Biden can say, okay, we're actually not going to enforce this, or we're going to allow app stores to continue to have this? Or is there some way that maybe there is this sort of last minute sale in which the algorithm and all that data is given to an American ownership? I do think there are some legitimate national security concerns here. I think Congress was right to begin with. 170 million people with all their data essentially being sucked up by a Chinese ownership that is handing that over to the Chinese government. And by the way, they're manipulating what's trending and what's not. They're setting the algorithms to benefit Chinese interests and to hurt the United States. So I think Congress was right in the beginning. I think the Supreme Court is right now. And if it's really that important, then sure, sell it off to one of these billionaires and let people keep using TikTok.
Which could well happen. I'm more on the side of Yaz, of no one that I've seen named. Am I super comfortable with them taking over this? I said earlier this week, I found myself in a position of being more comfortable with the Chinese government determining the algorithm than like if Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg somehow got in charge of it. Because the Chinese government's ability to manipulate us is sort of hypothetical and abstract at this point. Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, it's anything but. We're dealing with that every day. But anyway, there are a lot of potential ways that it could be maintained. You brought up the possibility of not enforcing it. That is still a possibility. Joe Biden, they could make clear on Sunday that they're not enforcing it, and we'll get to Trump too. Everyone should bear in mind though that it's not quite as simple as just not enforcing it. The Apple, Google would still technically be in violation of the law. And Donald Trump is only going to be president for 4 years, theoretically. And so are they going to want to break the law for 4 years, rack up countless theoretical fines that then could be pursued by the next administration? Maybe not. And also TikTok might not allow that continue. They might say, the law is in effect. We're gonna try to play hardball by shutting down the service. There's a lot of these hypotheticals.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.